Hi Libra, welcome to Maddie Tarot. I'm Maddie, and we're doing this is a general reading for Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements for the month of October 11th through 20th. So this is a general reading. Keep that in mind. It may not resonate for everybody from front to back. Take what resonates and leave the rest. You may need to swap roles because keep in mind I am just reading energy and putting a story together as best as I can based on that. So you may need to swap roles. I could be talking about you, your person, another individual, or party at any time in the reading. And don't overextend yourself or stretch it to make it fit. If it's not your story, it's not your story. And check your other placements because your messages could be there, okay? So I've already cleansed the space, cleansed the space, cleansed the decks, pre-shuffled, and meditated on the collective conscious of Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements, okay? So, what does Libra need to know? What does Libra need to know? Let's see. Libra. Libra. We're going to pull one card for you. Libra. Page of Emotions and the energy directly affecting. Page of Voices. Libra's person. Person on Libra's mind. Five of Emotions. Energy directly affecting. The Three of Inspiration. Three cards for the past energies that led to this. Knight of Materials. The Six of Emotions. And the Seven of Inspiration. Intuition for Libra. The Muse of Emotions. Challenge. The Page of Inspiration. Advice. The Ten of Materials. Person on Libra's mind, what are they thinking? Hanged Muse. Person on Libra's mind, how are they feeling? The Six of Inspiration. Person on Libra's mind, what's their next move? The Queen of Inspiration. Bias for Libra. What's Libra's bias? The Sun. Caution. What should Libra be cautious of? Temperance. And focus. What's Libra's focus? The Muse of Inspiration. Two guidance messages for Libra. We got the Priestess and the Two of Materials. At the bottom of the deck, you got the Knight of Inspiration. Knight of Wands. Okay. So, let's pull. We're going to pull some crystal cards real quick. Zoisite. Never heard of that one. Zoisite. And chrysotile. Okay, so let's see. Zoisite or Zoisite. Zoisite is in tune with your emotions. This sacred stone can shift emotions and help break through emotional trauma. When anxiety and worry flood your mind, this stone will assist you in your meditation. It allows you to use its celestial energy to let go of the angst. And chrysotile, this deep-colored stone comes from the serpentine group of stones. It is especially useful to attract and manifest your needs. Known to clear the heart chakra, it will help you inject energy into your being. You will be filled with energy and positivity. Okay, so I'm getting here that you have recently had to deal with some emotional trauma, maybe in a breakup or something affecting your heart, maybe letting go of somebody or having to find your strength again after some endeavor with a person that ended. Okay, so let's see. On your end, Libra, we've got the page of emotions and the page of voices. So, Libra, I'm getting here that you are learning at this time about communication, what it is to speak on your feelings, and the way you show up in love, and trying to find your strength again in regard to this after there's been a disruption that has taken place. Clarify the page of emotions. We've got the Four of Pentacles, and then clarify the page of voices here. The Empress. And then your person, Five of Emotions and Three of Inspiration. Your person, or the person on your mind, Libra, I feel like there's been, they walked away. They are hurting as well, or they hurt you. And, you know, it hurts for both people when something like that happens. This person was thinking of their future and their life path. And unfortunately, that did not involve you two staying together. Now, this is clarified by judgment, so self-evaluation, and clarified by the Four of Cups, which is discontentment and apathy. Okay, so let's get into this. So, in regard to the way you give and show up in love connections, the Four of Pentacles here talks about self. So it's sometimes, Libra, you might you take others into consideration often. However, in love, maybe there's parts of you that kind of preserve self, and this may have to do with your how do you say, the way you are very much looking at people as in like equal, and you could possibly feel like no one gets special treatment, or really what I'm getting here is that in this situation specifically, you may have kept more held back that you are kind of realizing maybe you should have voiced, and that it maybe caused a bit of rupture that you weren't expecting. And this is largely having to do with communication and what you were giving to a situation. Okay. Now, you may be somewhat people-pleasing. I'm getting here that the way you're communicating is very much to nurture somebody, and you kind of you beat around the bush to be nice, and that will only cause resentment in you. It will cause disconnection because it's not being truthful, and there's a way to express these things with tact, so you're not like hurting people, but like you are communicating effectively still. Now, if this role is swapped, just swap it. I could be talking about your person there, but or I could be talking about your person here. So your person, or possibly you, there's grievance and loss here. There's something that has been ended, and that it's sad that it ended that way. And this has to do with someone self-evaluating and taking the accountability of like where they stand and saying, you know what, this, you know, isn't serving my greater purpose at this time or anymore. And it's time to cut the cord. And this had to do with them being unhappy in regard to where this was going, where the connection was going. So bigger picture here, waiting, like following life path, and then the Four of Cups here is discontentment or apathy. This could also mean somebody trying to give you an offer. So it's like maybe they weren't happy with the offer, or the offers they were giving. Maybe they felt like you weren't appreciative of them, or on the same trajectory that they wanted. Maybe the things they wanted to give to the connection weren't being received well, or you guys just kind of had a difference of opinion, different views. Okay, so the energy that was leading up to this, the Knight of Materials, Six of Emotions, and Seven of Inspiration. The energy that was leading up to this was, you guys had a long history together, or possibly this was a karmic connection. It brought up a lot of childhood wounds. There was a lot of defense strategies or defense mechanisms that were enacted here, feeling the need to be defensive or protective of oneself. And this had to, maybe somebody was moving too slow. Maybe they thought you were moving too slow. Maybe you thought they were. Either way, there were things taken out of context. There were insecurities projected that caused you guys to not see each other as your true selves. And there were narratives built on assumptions from not communicating that caused disruptions here. Clarify the Knight of Materials, clarified by the Page of Swords. Clarify the Six of Emotions, the Six of Cups, and clarify the Seven of Inspiration, the Knight of Cups. So yeah, so the Knight of Materials here, which is the Knight of Pentacles, clarified by the Page of Swords. So there was, the communication was too slow to get anywhere. It wasn't progressive. There was commitment and dedication here, but it was a lot of hard work, and it was, you guys had a difficult time communicating. And maybe that was because you were communicating defensively, or just it would end in arguments. And the Six of Cups here, Six of Emotions, clarified by the Six of Cups. This is the Six of Cups as well. So this was a past life connection or a soul bond that you guys had come together to teach each other something. There's a lot of nostalgia here, a lot of good memories, but it talks about things of the past. So there was something that had to be worked through here. Hopefully you got the message and are figuring that out at this time. The Seven of Wands here, protection and defensive, and setting boundaries. And then the Knight of Cups here. So in romance, we get triggered usually, and our childhood wounds are triggered and brought to center stage for us to face them and finally heal them. And this will happen in every connection until you face these things. And so our childhood wounds continually come up in romantic connections, and that's what I'm getting here. So in the romance here, obviously you get triggered, you get defensive, it's about the way we are, if we're able to transcend these things. And the reason this happens is because we need to transcend these things. So every time we get in a relationship, it's going to come up. If you are running away from issues, you're going to find the same issues again with the next person. It will continually come up because our issues follow us around. So really, it's so interesting when we get older, we realize all the opportunities that we could have made something. And it's more about, everybody served a purpose in our life. And really, if we find somebody who is good of heart, has a good heart, and is willing to look at themselves and do the work, there's no reason you should leave that person. You should work through the issues with them, because love can be built. Love is something that two people build from the ground up. It's not found, it's created. And I'm getting here that you maybe weren't ready to do that with this person, or maybe they weren't ready to do that with you, and that's okay. But what's not okay is not extracting the lessons, not finding the gratitude, not finding the gain, what you gain from the experience. That's where you get stuck. That's where people get stuck. And so that's very important here for you to identify those things, okay? Libra, your intuition's telling you need to regulate your feelings at this time. Maybe you've been emotionally volatile or feeling emotionally volatile inside. Maybe you're being harsh on yourself. Maybe you're being harsh toward another person. But you need to remember that you are love at your center, at your core, and letting your emotions run your life and determine your actions and your behaviors and the way you speak to yourself and the way, if you close your heart off and all that, that is no way to live. So you can't let your emotions run your life. You got to regulate those things and find ways to feel them, express them in healthy ways. And, you are in control, not your emotions. Okay. Your intuition is clarified by the Ten of Cups. Page of Inspiration for your challenge, clarified by the King of Cups. And the Ten of Materials for your advice, clarified by the Ace of Swords. So the King of Cups, or the Muse of Inspiration, I'm sorry, the Muse of Emotions is the King of Cups, and then the Ten of Cups clarifying it. So you saw something with this person. You wanted to create, this was your wish fulfillment. You wanted to create a happy home, happy life, but your intuition's telling you, you gotta really get on lock about how you're balancing your head and your heart. I think your head came in here and was just running rampant, telling you all these things, and caused you to be defensive and to be protecting your heart. Really, what it was doing, though, putting walls up is not protecting your heart. It's hurting you and the other person. So I think that there was a big lesson learned here. And Libra, your challenge at this time is the Page of Wands talks about creation of like self-fulfilling passions, and then the King of Cups. So I'm getting here that because pages are young and they talk about fiery energy and creative passion from the self, and then the King of Cups, again, emotional regulation. I'm getting here that your challenge in this time is to create this balance for yourself, is finding how to express your emotion and what fuels you, and what are you passionate about, and what are you um, I'm getting here like free spirit energy is like breaking out of your shell. You know, in our life, we have all these things that keep us confined in this box. And healing is not fixing because we're not broken. Healing is actually breaking out of the box, breaking out of the shell, breaking out of the confines that we've placed ourselves in, that other people have placed us in, that society has placed us in. So healing is not about fixing something that's been broken. Healing is breaking out of the restraints that our mind puts on us. You know, our mind is constantly running, and it's mostly just programming and subconscious type of just it's like protective strategies, survival strategies. You know, back in like what, caveman days, we have it's called the reticular activating system, the RAS. It's in our brain, and it is designed to protect us, because what it does is it remembers negative more than positive. So, example, back in caveman days or whatever, if your brother and you went into a cave and like a saber-toothed tiger ate your brother, you know, you would be careful going into caves from then on out. You would always remember that, and you wouldn't go into caves, and you wouldn't just walk in there without some sort of protection or some sort of fire or whatever. So that is the reason that our brain does that. It's like if you touch a hot stove, you know not to just touch stoves without checking if it's on, because you got burnt. So you're always going to remember that. When you get hurt, you remember. But it serves us very little purpose nowadays, because in society, we don't need to live that way. And what it causes us nowadays in social settings is to remember the words people said when they were angry, is to remember how somebody acted. It stands in the way of our forgiveness. And so your advice, that's what I'm getting here, is like really being aware of how you're standing in your own way from forgiving somebody or letting that pain go, and on your path forward. Your advice here is to get really honest in regard to your what has brought you here. So the 10 of materials is the 10 of pentacles. That's roots and foundation. It has to do with family. It has to do with inheritance. So what have you inherited from your family, from the family dynamic? What have you inherited in your upbringing? What have you learned about yourself that's false, like such a you know, the limiting beliefs you have, the limiting core beliefs. So getting really honest with what things are holding you back, holding you hostage from breaking out of that shell and into your true self. And that's largely those things. A lot of the times we think somebody is doing something to us or making us some way, but really what it is that these pains existed within us before we ever met these people. And if we have a button that's being pressed, it's not that somebody's pressing our button, it's that we have that button to be pressed. What it would serve us well to get rid of that button, instead of pointing the finger and saying, you're trying to push the button. They're not. It's very rare that they are. Some people are abusive and very just like volatile people, and they will try to push the buttons. They will do these things. But guess what? It's because they have a button as well that's being pushed that you probably don't know you're pushing. See what I mean? So we all could use forgiveness. We all could use understanding. We all need to understand that underneath underneath anger is pain, always. And underneath pain is an unmet need, always. So the more we can get in line with what our needs are and communicating these things in a healthy way, the more we can avoid pain and anger. And yeah, so let's go on. What's your person thinking? The Hanged Muse. Your person's seeing different sides of the situation. They're seeing how they affected things. They're seeing how maybe you affected things. They are looking at, they felt stuck, and that's why they had to leave. Again, if this is not your story, it's not your story, so please don't get upset by this. Or if it is your story, it could possibly be reversed roles. So just, keep that in mind. But anyway, your person felt stuck, or they're seeing a new perspective. Yeah, Eight of Pentacles is clarifying it. I'm getting here that they felt stuck and they're extracting the lessons and moving forward. The way they're feeling, Six of Inspiration, Six of Wands. They're feeling a bit prideful at this time, maybe, which is not a good thing. It's like they're feeling like they didn't get the recognition that they deserved, or maybe they're feeling like, or maybe they're recognizing how they played a role, what role they played in the dynamic. Seven of Wands. I'm getting more so that they're feeling prideful, and thought that you were an issue for some reason. We'll get into that. The Queen of Inspiration is their next move. They have moved on to try and feel more confident. Five of Swords. This caused a lot of conflict. I'm getting here that for those of you mostly that this will resonate with, that this person and you had a very tumultuous ending and got in fight. And that's, unfortunate. I'm so sorry. But this person was feeling stuck, not feeling like anything was moving anywhere, feeling like they needed to release this. And they were, now that they've done it, they are seeing different perspectives and they are applying the lessons and taking this as a learning experience. This person was largely in their pride and they felt very defensive as well. They felt like they had to defend themselves, felt very like needed to protect and put up a wall or a boundary. And it's because, they felt like they weren't getting their flowers. They weren't being recognized for their efforts. This caused fights, and these fights were stemming back to Queen of Inspiration, Queen of Wands, the confidence, the insecurities inside each of you, the things that you were projecting onto each other, running off of a narrative without communicating. So when we assume, if, for example, here's a great example. If somebody says something to you, I'll actually use a specific example from my life. Me and a person got in a fight one time. I said I'm sorry to them. I was being sincere. I meant it. I said I'm so sorry. They, in their upbringing, sorry meant pity. Like, I feel sorry for you. They never had an experience where I'm sorry meant I apologize. And if you look up I'm sorry, or if you look up the word sorry, it can mean to pity somebody. And there's another meaning of to actually be apologetic and feel sorry for what you've done to affect someone. So it was interesting because they got upset and they said, I don't need your sympathy. I don't need you to pity me. And they got really mad at me. And I was so taken aback. I was like, what? Like, I'm trying to apologize to you. And they're like, then say I apologize. And I was like, whoa. And that upset me. And it made me think, like, you're ungrateful. You know what? Actually, I'm not sorry. Like, and that was really, really immature of me. And we all have our moments and we all make mistakes. So the situation devolved very quickly. And that's because what I'm trying to say is when we assume what someone means without asking first, then we are running on a narrative and we are not communicating properly and we are not seeing the person for what they are actually, who they actually are and what they're actually doing. So whenever you start to feel upset or angry, it would serve you very well to clarify and ask questions and ask the person what they meant, what they're trying to say, if they could say it a different way, get clarity before you run on an assumption. And we do it so often and so quickly. We run on an assumption and we forget that nobody was raised exactly the same. So me and that person, we ultimately didn't work out. But ever since that moment, since then, every moment after that, I always used I apologize instead of I'm sorry. And that's because I cared and I understood. And it's like, but that person also, they failed to ever come around and see that I'm sorry. Because sometimes I would slip up, and they failed to ever come around and see that I'm sorry actually meant I apologize. They refused to see that, and they ran on the assumption that I was trying to, that I looked down on them and pitied them in some way. And I was just like, you're being ridiculous. But, you know, things happen. So anyway, that's what I'm saying. Don't run on assumptions. Clarify. Okay. Your bias here is the happiness you feel in regard to this connection. So maybe your bias here was what is happiness to you, Libra? What is happiness to you? And you need to realize that that comes from within you. We all create our own happiness. We all create our own happiness. We can't rely on others to do that for us. Ten of Swords is clarifying this. Your caution is temperance. Your caution is temperance, clarified by the Devil, and your focus is the Muse of Inspiration, clarified by the Six of Wands. So your bias here is the defeat, failure, and ruin you feel when something external happens is messing up your happiness, and you're using it to determine your happiness. And that is something that you need to really see what's the reason that you're allowing that to happen, and understand you're responsible for your own happiness. Your caution here is this is balance and harmony, and then this is like toxic behavioral patterns or codependency, or it could even be obsessing over something, addiction to a person, place, thing. This could be the obsessive thoughts you're having in regard that are keeping you unhappy and feeling unbalanced. Something that you need to be cautious of the way you talk to yourself, and how much importance you put in other external factors that you're allowing to affect your value and your quality of life. That's not to say that nothing can affect me, but like, there's a difference between letting something ruin you and then also feeling upset by something. You could feel ruined, like, oh gosh, this is like, it's really detrimental. Yeah. I mean, your experiences are valid, your feelings are valid, but you are responsible for your happiness. And no matter what somebody does, we can't control other people, but we can show up better ourselves in hopes that others will follow suit and do the same. And if you continue to do so, they will. So your focus here is the Muse of Inspiration, King of Wands, and the Six of Wands. Your focus here is to think of the bigger picture, make the bold decisions to find what makes you proud, what makes you happy, and give yourself the recognition that you deserve. Toot your own horn, Libra. Don't beat yourself up. Be your own biggest supporter, okay? And anyone that has left and didn't see your value or wasn't able to work through those issues with you, or even if you are at fault here for maybe lashing out at them, forgive yourself. It's going to be okay. Okay? So the recognition, I'm sorry, the guidance messages are the Priestess and the Two of Materials. So guidance messages are to listen to your intuition at this time. Listen to what your intuition is trying to tell you. You may need to meditate. You may need to do some energy healing practices or some focused mindful meditation. This is clarified by, I'm just going to use this for both because 3 popped out here. This is clarified by Death, the Emperor, and the 9 of Wands. So calling upon your higher self, listening to your intuition. This is to bring balance, stop the juggling act, 2 of Materials, 2 of Pentacles, bring balance back to your life. And this is in regard to stability and order. And you're going through a transformation at this time where the ending of something is meeting the beginning of something new. This is a rising from the ashes type energy. You've allowed the fire to consume you, and rise again from the ashes. Transformation, new beginnings, new energy. And then the 9 of Wands here. Allow your pain to be your power. Transform your pain into power. Death is Scorpio's card. It talks about transformation, and I'm getting here the Nine of Wands. It's pain and trauma, and then the Emperor's stability. So it's like, this is really that's why I said the Phoenix, because that's like the story of a Scorpio, and like transformation is use your higher self knowledge to find balance, and use your pain to allow this transformation to bring you stability, is going through the dark night of the soul and rising to your greatest good, and allowing your pain, turn your pain into power and transmute it in that way. Okay. Also here, I love how over in the beginning, your the limited communication that was surrounding you, and the way that maybe you were speaking of, you have the Empress here, and then your guidance here, you've got the Emperor. And we all have divine masculine, divine feminine in us, regardless of our gender. It's the yin and yang, it's the balance. And so Empress is divine feminine, and that's giving and nurturing and loving and all that. It's also receiving. And so there's an imbalance here. Maybe you were too I want soft, for lack of a better word. Maybe you were too giving. Maybe you were too willing to put your own needs aside and kind of fix and nurture the situation, and try and because that can make a person look like really how do you say helpless. And so a person can be like, if you're relying on too much on somebody on the outside or external to fulfill you, that might be the reason. And then your advice, your guidance here was the Emperor is calling upon that strong rational leader, gathering type logical energy that will, you got to follow your heart, but bring your mind along with it, so you don't get mixed up, because your heart will mislead you. Your heart leads you, but it will mislead you if you solely let it lead you and don't bring your brain along with it. Okay, so let's get a few guidance messages. Oh, and then at the bottom of the deck, I'm sorry, you've got the Four of Swords and the Knight of Inspiration. Yeah, so the Knight of Inspiration is the Knight of Wands, and the Four of Swords is rest, recuperation, and peace. So before you get back up on your horse, and before you are able to fully be free-spirited energy, you need to find rest, peace, recuperate, and, kind of gather yourself and extract these lessons, so then when you do get back out there and move forward, you can apply them. Okay. Let's pull some energy cards for you, Libra. Let's see. Abundance, strength, disruption, ghost, and sweetness. At the bottom of the deck, creativity. Okay, so I'm getting here, you need to be creative in the way you approach your healing, and maybe getting into creative endeavors will help you, in this time of rest. Maybe following your creative pursuits, creative outlets, creative endeavors, creative energy, and also creating your own happiness. Okay, so there's been a disruption. There's been a disruption, clearly. And this is regarding ghosts of the past, things that were already present and things that got in the way. You need to be sweet to yourself in this time. You need to find your heart, shut down that inner critic and find your heart space, and give that inner child wounding the clarity and the words and the support and consideration that you needed, that it needed, your inner child, with your newfound understanding of, life in general and interactions in general. Call upon your strength, for courage, bravery to move forward, and this is largely in regard to I'm getting here more, instead of material with abundance, I'm getting here more of like your heart and the abundance of your life, how fulfilling your life is, your quality of life. For an abundant and rich and beautiful life, you need to transcend your pain into power. and find your inner strength and be creative in the way you tackle these ghosts of the past so they're not causing such turbulence when disruptions do happen. Ultimately, our success in life is determined on not by avoiding pain and rupture and all that. It's by just how we learn from experience, right? Just how we navigate and we learn things through positive experiences. We also need to learn the not so good ones that don't feel as good, because those are the ones that are most transformative for us. So keep that in mind. Everything is for a purpose and is teaching you something. And the more you're able to have gratitude for the experiences and let go and forgive and call upon yourself and understand that we're all in this game together. And nothing's really truly personal. People operate through a lens that they are projecting onto the world, and people's behavior is 100% about them, not about us. So the more you're able to do that, the more rich, abundant, beautiful life you will have. Libra, that is all I have for you today. I really hope it helped. Thank you. We belong together.